Hey guys, Taz here again. I'm gonna be showing you how to add game objects to your GameObject DBC file so that the stuff that's in the core game can actually be called and placed in the world. Some of this shit does already exist and does work, some of it doesn't. And so it's been my experience that it's easier and much faster to go into WoW.Export and figure out how to uh, basically get that file structure and figure out exactly what it is you're looking for, find it, move it to the DBC file, add it to the database, and spawn it in game. So we're going to go through that whole process starting now. I'm not going to be rushing this, but this should also not take long. So what you're going to need is WoW.Export. This is basically a model exporter. I'll go ahead and close out of it real fast and fire it back up for you guys so that you can see kind of how this works. I have not gotten it to work with a local installation repack that I'm using. I've had to basically use the Blizzard CDN, which honestly has worked just fine. So we're going to go ahead and select that. It's going to ask you what you're playing. I'm on 335 Azeroth Core, so basically we want the lowest classic era or the highest classic era one within reason, right? You can see that like you jump up here, this goes past 335, so some of the shit in here probably doesn't exist in 335. It probably only exists in 441. So to avoid issues like that, click the next one, right? Basically next best one. So that's going to fire up. I'm going to show you also where you can find where these files actually do live. So here we have the WoW client, right? And it's got the data folder, and then you got all your MPQs. This is where all the core shit lives, from patch to patch, everything else. This is actually a custom patch, and I believe these are too. This was a repack, so I didn't make the entire thing, but I can definitely confirm that this one is custom. And the way that these work is that they will load in, I think it's alphabetical order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to infinity, and then of course your typical ABC deal. So this, I believe, takes precedence over all this shit. So anything that gets overwritten, anything up here that also exists up here, this will take precedence and it will overwrite what's up here. Just so you guys know kind of how that works. As a general rule of thumb, to not break things, I don't fuck with anything that I didn't make personally. I don't touch any of this shit or alter it. I just use it to refer to and look for. So, bearing all that in mind, you've got also your GameObjectDbc. This is in your actual server file, right? So this is the basically server portion of the repack, and you can ignore that. Most of you guys probably aren't stupid and you know actually understand how to extract the file properly. I didn't do it right there here, and I was too lazy to go back and fix it. But that's your file hierarchy, right? So server, data, DBC. And this is where all of the stuff gets pointed to from the SQL server that is running your databases to the actual shit that is in your MPQ files on the client side. This is your medium between the client and the server. Basically, think of it as your highway. This is the road for how everything gets from one place to the other, so that both the client and server show the same shit. That's what this is doing. Now then, we want GameObjectDbc, right? So I went way the fuck too far because I had a brain fart. All right, GameObjectDisplayinfo. This is where all your models live in terms of game objects. And what is a game object? So you'll see people go through and they've made some videos about calling in game objects, and maybe it's just my repack and lack of experience or whatever, but in my experience, 90% of the shit that exists in the world, you can't spawn in. And as I understand it, this is actually an add-on. This is just like a feature that somebody put together, and so they threw in like a handful of assets and kind of just let people do what they would with it. So that's what this is for. Um, Not everything in here is going to be translated to your server out of the box, and that's what we are going to fix here. So we're going to open this up. I've got it set to use Wdbx editor. This has had zero issues at all with loading anything for me, so I highly recommend this particular piece of software for this application. You're going to pick your version of WoW, which for us right now is WoW.K335, right? That's build 12340. That's actually kind of important for some other stuff. Not so important today. So we're going to load that. All right, and here you can see that we've got an ID number and we have a model name. And you can even attach things like sounds and stuff to it. I have not messed with that at all. And honestly, as far as I have seen, this is supposed to basically define your orientation of the object and the way that it spawns into the world. I have found no use for it. It's better for me that I've just been keeping it at straight up 0. And you can see there is a lot of stuff in here. 9,000 assets to be exact, but it still isn't everything. WoW's a big game, so this is where we're going to be defining and pointing stuff to our models. Now, like I said, first thing we got to do is find the model we want. So I am going to use something that I actually want, because I haven't done it yet, and I'm going to search for this particular model because I want to make a castle because I'm a fucking 5-year-old. Alright. So this is the castle gate, right? Gate number 2, you got different styles of gates. You got ruined gates. You got a bridge. Wall posts. Wall pieces. All this stuff. And I'm just going to go through the whole showcase here so that you kind of get an idea what you're actually going to be getting if you get balls deep in this. Alright, there we go. Good. Yep. So yeah, you can see basically you have enough straight wall pieces, towers, corner pieces, and shit like that that you can viably create your own little castle slash keep, whatever. Okay, so yeah, you even got the little run through there. That's kind of neat. Basically Stormwind. Okay, so the other thing is that some of these are bullshit. You didn't find Nether Guard. There. As you can see, this is basically all the stuff that I showed you, and somebody just basically put all of this shit together for us. I did try to move and spawn this in, and I do not know if there's a size limit, but I am letting you know that if you try this method, it might not work, because I have yet to be able to successfully get this to spawn in with model. It'll say it spawned in, but it's invisible. So, there's that. Just a caveat so that you kind of know what to expect. So the next thing I'm going to try, since I couldn't get this behemoth to come in, is to get the smaller pieces. So we're going to start with the gate, right? Alright, so that's the file hierarchy. And this is accurate, but some fuckhead went into the MPQ. Where did I put that fucker? Oh yeah, here we go. Somebody in these MPQ files went, and you see how some of this shit is basically uppercase, lowercase, uppercase, lowercase, uppercase, lowercase. Well, normally in the year 2024, none of that would fucking matter because it's not like these are state secret passwords or anything. But for some fucking reason, MPQ editor doesn't like it if your case does not match between the file path and where it's being pointed in the MPQ. So, unfortunately, you cannot just copy and paste this fucking file path into your DBC. You have to go and actually look and see how the fuck it actually is structured in the MPQ file. So that's what we're going to do now. So we know it's World, WoMo, Azeroth, Buildings, Keep Wall, Gate 1. Alright, let's see what's in common. That's also another common sense way to look this stuff up, hopefully speed things up for you, is if you know what expansion the asset you're looking at was put in, you should probably start with a folder around that time. You know, your common folders, like what we're in right now, this is going to be your base world shit. This is basically Netherguard, Keep, and Stormwind, so it should be in one of these low-ass files that was around since the beginning of time. So, we got World, WMO, Azeroth, I think it was Buildings, right? Buildings, yeah. Keep Wall, yeah. Keep Wall, Gate 1, there. That's exactly where it was supposed to be, so that actually worked out well for me. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is, instead of meticulously looking at, and you can do it this way, but I don't recommend it. You can look at this shit and verbatim type this shit into your DBC if you want to. I don't recommend it. It will take forever, and you'll probably fuck it up, like me. Ask me how I know. And as you can see here, see how that world is a capital W and this one isn't? It's like that for a reason. I don't know if somebody did that shit intentionally or not, but if they did, they're a massive dick. Anyway, so we're going to extract this. And remember how I said earlier that I don't fuck with the MPQs if they're, basically native? Well, this is a little bit of an exception because it's faster. And I'm not really altering anything. This is literally just me being expedient. So I am going to put mine in my data folder of my client. And the reason I'm going to do that is, again, for expedience. You want to very, very carefully do this. If you have that box checked, you're going to hose your whole client. So don't do that. Don't delete all your shit. Alright. That's good. It should have extracted. I'm sure it did. Yeah, there it is. There's the world file, right? So now we just click through and we copy the path. Show you that again. Copy the path. There we go. Right click. I am a heathen and I did upgrade to 11, so Windows 11 that is, so don't judge me. Alright, next, you're going to go to this line. You're going to see the minute I clicked on it, it automatically assigned it a new ID. That's good. You don't have to mess with that. You're going to paste that in. You're going to get rid of the quote. And everything before world is going to go. And now you can see that in our DBC folder, remember that's our highway, it exactly matches what we have up here. That's how the game is going to look for that piece of information. That's good. So unless you're putting a sound in here, or you're some fucking savant and can figure this clusterfuck out, we're done. That's all you got to do. So, file, save. All right. And now our GameObjectdisplayinfo.dbc is appropriately affixed to the DBC folder. Now, we're also done here. We don't need that anymore. What we do need is to adjust fire for the server side, for the SQL side. Alright. So here's your SQL server, right? If you've never been in here, you're gonna go into your world. This is where most of the stuff that I have altered lives. There is some shit in the character, and I have never fucked with anything in the authorization database, but I guess you could if you were so inclined. I just don't know what the hell's in there that's worth fucking with. Alright, and you're going to come over here and you're going to look for GameObject template. And there it is right there. That's the one you want. If you're using Heidi SQL, that's fine too. This same hierarchy will exist. You don't have to mess with anything. This just happens to be where my server's pointed, and I've gotten used to using it, so it works fine. It's a little bit more GUI than basically raw data entry, which can be useful. You can still do SQL queries and stuff up here though, or do a straight up search. Alright, next thing, we want to add a new entry, right? So we want to basically put in and tell the server that, hey, there's a model for you to use here. And so to do that, your entry number is you're gonna want to make your entry number something that you're gonna easily remember. So I believe I'm up to 7. Yeah, okay, that's correct. We'll just verify that very quickly. See, good thing I looked. How do I have fucking how many big rocks do I need? Okay, we don't have a 6,000,010. So we're gonna copy this because it's all already there, and this is where it can get a little bit tricky. So I have found that WMO files are type 14, and I don't know why. It's Blizzard magic, but that's basically what works with them. So this type thing, 14 means world object, and 5, for fuck's sake, Malwarebytes. 5 means game object, or like generic object, right? And so I found that M2 files like to be called type 5, buttons like to be called type 5, big objects like WMO files like to be called type 14. And if you are using type 14, first of all, you want that size to be 1. You can edit the size of the object here, and that's how it will spawn in the game. That works out fine. Again, I haven't found a use for any of this shit. I'm sure that there's buttons that probably use this stuff. I haven't looked into it. If you were gonna do that, I would look for something like a known, such as a door or a known button somewhere, and I would just copy the fucking values from that to here, or just copy it entirely and change as little as possible up here. So that's how I would do that. Alright, we're gonna call this big gate, right? Big gate, fucking, because I'm nuanced like that. Anyway, And this is the display ID from the DBC folder that I just closed and cannot verify and show you. But I know that it's the next fucking number up, because this is the latest one I just built. And I do remember it being 9633. If you don't believe me, go back and check. But that's what it is. So your display ID is the same ID number that gets assigned to the DBC line that you input. Next is, I think we're actually done. I think that's it. One quick caveat, verified build. 12340 seems to work for just about everything. So I haven't found a reason not to use this, but I have found about 20 reasons to use it. So I would just, for everything that you're doing in here, if it asks you for what verified build it is, just go ahead and pop that 12340 in there. And we're going to select go. That inputs our entry. And we can verify that. Let's go look. And there we are. We have big gate, entry, type 14, size 1, verified build 12340, type 1H. Okay, that is almost where we're done. Now then, the DBC file, we edited this. You want to put this in your patch. And again, I don't know why it's like that, but I'm just telling you, you want to put that in your patch. So we're going to overwrite it here. And you can see I keep some of the stuff that I regularly edit and in this particular directory, just so I don't have to go fumbling around. We're going to open patch Z, because this is the one that I've been messing around in. And you can see all the stuff like spells, skill lines, all that stuff that I've done. We'll get into that later on another video. But basically, you're going to say add file, and this is again with MPQ editor. And you're just going to add the GameObjectdisplayinfo. But I'm not going to do this to you because I'm fairly certain I just overwrote it. But just in case, or just in case you missed it, wherever it is that you edited, that's the one that you want to import. So GameObjectdisplayinfo.dbc, we're going to say open, say yes to all. Alright, that MPQ is done. We don't have to save it. It works pretty much like a mini Windows thing. Okay guys, that added everything. Let's see if it actually worked. Let's see if I just wasted a half hour of my day. We're going to kill the server. It is also good practice to kill your cache. So just delete that bad boy. Prevents potential errors that are unnecessary. Alright, and we're going to fire up. We already know the SQL server is running. By the way, you can edit your SQL server while it's running, while the game is up. Just realize that your information is not going to take until that server restarts again. Another important fact is that your MPQ editor needs to be completely closed when you fire this up. If that MPQ editor's open, sometimes it'll be nice and give you an error and tell you to go close it, and sometimes it'll fire the game up and none of the shit you just did will be there, and you'll feel like you're crazy until you realize that your MPQ editor is open and it shouldn't be. Alright, let's see here. We are in the Badlands. This is the command you're going to use, .gobject add 6 1,000,010. And look, it worked. Holy shit, that's the gate. Now, again, this is permanent. When you add it by command like that, it's going to be there until you tell it to go away. So every time the server fires up, this object's going to show up. The next video I'm going to show you guys is how to attach this to a spell and make it temporary. Now, obviously something like this you don't necessarily want to be temporary, but if you're putting up, like, say, I don't know, a mobile house or a pocket plane or whatever the hell, a tent, campfire, whatever it is you're spawning in, and if you want it to be temporary, that can be done by basically placing it into a spell as opposed to doing this one with game commands. This is mostly going to be used for things like permanently modding a server to do a certain thing. So, alright, we're going to get rid of that because I don't necessarily like the placement here, but I am happy that that worked. So when you go to delete an object, it has to be the GUID, and that deletes it. And that's it, guys. If you screw up and you close your server down, but you still want to get rid of that object and you don't know what the GUID is, the command to fix that is Gobject near. And that will tell you, you have to be near it, obviously. I think the range is like 10 in-game meters. And it'll tell you all that shit. Give you the GUID and all that crap. But yeah. Really buggered. That's it, guys. I'm not gonna make you watch me kill that damn thing. I appreciate you watching. Like and subscribe if this helped you.